Welcome to The Book Carriers, your favorite book club podcast.
I'm Cassandra, the hopeless romantic book carrier.
I'm Angela, the logical book carrier.
And I'm Becca, the sentimental book carrier.
We are three 30-something best friends and busy moms who live vicariously through the stories we read.
So grab your cup of coffee, get comfy, and let's get lost in a great book together.
Hello, book carriers. Welcome back for another episode. How are we feeling, ladies?
We're feeling good. I'm feeling good, Cassandra.
So good, so ready. So much has transpired. I am ready. I'm ready.
We are so excited because so much happened. We were discussing in our little group chat before we recorded how we could not wait to talk about this section because so much happens.
I know what I'm thinking. I'm ready to hear what y'all are thinking. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited. I can't wait till we get to the end because I feel like I have been, what's the word I'm looking for? Like justified in so many of my thoughts and predictions. And so I'm so excited to get into it. So, of course, we're going to kind of structure this episode the same way we did last time. We're going to try to take y'all through the section as best that we can so we don't skip over any important parts. So we're going to start in chapter 17. Of course, the main thing that stuck out to me in this chapter was the battle brief when Violet was in there and was just hearing all of these lies that the professors were trying to pass by that, of course, she was so naive to her first year. But now after everything that she's experienced, she gets so angry and she just runs off and runs to the archives and disrupts like a class and a meeting in the archives. And which I know we're jumping way, way, way ahead. But whenever I was looking over my notes and I saw that, I was like, that's exactly what her mom predicted she would do if she was a scribe. She says,
what? Wait, remind me of that. What did she say?
Remember, the mom is like, I knew that if you had become a scribe, you would have found out all of the lies and you would have like done whatever you could and you would have been killed for it. And so she is doing exactly what her mom predicted. So I'm like, man, her mom might be a silent watcher of Violet way more than I thought. And she definitely knows her a little bit better. But I thought that was so interesting. When I went back to my notes and kind of relived that part, I was like, that's exactly what her mom predicted she would do. And so,
which I can't wait to get to that part.
Oh my God.
So we can have more conversations about mom.
Y'all know I can get on about mom. So
the infamous mom. But yeah, we'll get to that for sure.
Yes. So and then of course Jasenia is like, yo, like you can't do this. Like you come on a Saturday. Like what is like pretty much is kind of baiting Violet that like she needs to confide in some people because she's going to combust if she doesn't. And so she encourages her to confide in her squad and her friends. And Violet's still like, if they know, then they could get killed. And she just won't let that happen. So I guess my question to you guys too is like, how do y'all feel about Jasenia? Like, what's your temp check on her? Do you trust her? Do you not trust her? What are you thinking?
So yeah, I honestly was thinking that the last book I guess was it not the last book, the last part or section, last podcast, I wanted to know what y'all thought. Do we actually trust her? Because remember in the past, she kind of gave her a tiny job to do that didn't give away a lot of it, didn't give away a lot of what she was trying to do, but she just, do you guys remember that the last time?
Mm-hmm.
And so she was giving her a chance to prove herself, like, can they work together? And, I was like, let me not just trust her too hard because there's a lot of people that I just blindly trust and then they trick me all of a sudden. So I was questioning it. I was wondering, should I just blindly trust her? Because to me, it seems like I should. They've been friends for forever. They've grown up in the same quadrant. Of course, now they're in different ones, but, they've just been super tight. So the part that really got me was, Becca, you kept mentioning the fact that Jasenia she's at the end of all of the intros.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, man, can she really be like a double crosser if she's documenting everything?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I had that thought. I kind of questioned it. I was like, should I blindly trust her? Because I do at this point. I'm like,
Yeah, and I
I'm
think
all
we're
for her.
supposed to. So that's
Yeah.
why I'm wondering, like, is this going to be the biggest twist in the
Yes.
century if she ends up
Yes, I'm
not
just so
being?
insecure or unsure of that trust. Should I?
Mhm.
Just with
Yeah.
all
That's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, I don't know. She seems pretty trustworthy to me, but I have not learned my lesson from these authors who backstab me and like, oh, you love this character, huh? Well, just kidding. They're actually evil, or just kidding. They're gonna die 2 chapters later. So I was
Oh
like,
my god.
how can I? No, but I love her. I love her,
Yes.
especially even I can just tell like the comfort that she has with Violet.
Yeah.
Even whenever Jasenia assigns something to like the instructor, and Violet is like, what are you saying? Or what did you say? And then she's like, I told her you are an impatient, arrogant writer, and it would be less disruptive to our studies if I helped you, which is all true. It's so funny, like just how her comfort and trust with Violet to be able to share that. Like, this is what I said because it's true.
Right.
You're an arrogant, impatient writer.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
I
Yeah.
wasn't lying,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just so frank and so direct. I'm like, all right, I like you. I like you.
Yes.
I love it because to me it's like the scribes, like, and maybe they get down on like their parties like outside of the archives, but like they just seem like very serious people, and I feel like Violet's not a serious person. Like her wit and her kind of bluntness and her sometimes like, I don't know, dirty mouth in a way and thoughts, like she just doesn't strike me as the same personality that they're describing the other scribes, but I feel like Justinia has a little bit of that in her as well. And so yeah, I love Justinia like so much, and I'm like, I'm just gonna choose to be completely like undoubtedly heartbroken if she flips, because I'm just choosing to trust her, because I just feel like she's just been so clutch. Like everything that they need, like Justinia can do it. Oh, they need to find the journals or whatever, we'll get there or whatever. Justinia can do it. Oh, they need to find this secret, like hidden whatever. And it's like literally the next chapter, they're like, oh, Justinia found it. I'm like what? Like she's so clutch that I'm just like, I'm just choosing to believe. But I had this thought, because Andrew, you mentioned it again, like how they're at the beginning of every book, it's like, this has been, transcribed by Justinia, whatever. I'm like, I think that maybe they all survive, but Justinia, because she's now twisted things and done things a certain way, like she's going to protect them and maybe like write them off as dead, even though they're like off living somewhere else, like happy. Like I feel like she's going to protect them, and like in a way at the end that she's going to come in clutch. I just know that she is. Just have my gut feeling.
That's a good thought. Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel
Team
like
Justinia.
I like it. I like it. I think we're all team Justinia.
Yes.
But that made me think, I don't know who said it and when or where it was said, but somebody said like the scribes hold a lot of the power.
Yes.
With how they document, what they choose to document, the way that they document. And so, yeah, I don't know, Justinia, we're going to see a lot more.
Yeah. I mean, she's already like willing to bend the rules for Violet and for this movement that she kind of is blindly just following. That I'm just like, I don't know. I feel like she's going to do whatever she can to protect and do the right thing.
Yeah. Like, well, what you were saying, Angela, about how they hold the scribes, that it's in their nature. It kind of reminds me of the Harry Potter houses, right? It's in their nature to strive to document the truth and want to know the truth. So that's, she's getting, hers. Do you guys remember where she said, hey, I'll do you this favor, but you have to help me with a favor? Do you remember that?
What favor she asked for, Justinia? Yeah, she asked to read the fables, the folklore.
There it was.
But that's another interesting scribe thing, because she was like so dumbfounded. Like, what? The archives don't have that this one. And so I think her nerdy self was like, I have to get my hands on this and like read it. But I'm pretty sure that was the favor. I could be wrong, but
I think yes, that's right. I remember. So it's that nature, that the strive, her want to know the truth and the knowledge. If there's knowledge out there, she has to be able to, like you said, like digest it and read it. So I think that's just part of her character, which I really, really like. I really like that.
We love her. Our fellow book carrier.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. And so, of course, Zayden gets all bent out of shape and upset because she's doing this research that could potentially hurt or get her in trouble or get her killed, blah, blah, blah. And I wrote down during this part, because at one point he like shows her like this hint of hurt. And she's like, is that hurt in his voice? Violet is starting to really piss me the hell off.
Why?
Because she's so like dumbfounded that Zayden like seems hurt, that she's like, like, and she just like keeps saying over and over again, like he doesn't feel the same way about me and he doesn't blah blah blah. And I'm like, you are so like stupid. Like, it's just, to me, it's like in this aspect, she's so naive. And it's just, it makes me so mad that like the back and forth between them in this whole section of like, you can trust me, but you can trust me and this and that and blah, 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 blah. It just like, it was making me cringe. It was making me cringe. It was making me really upset. Like when she would say things like, is that hurt in his voice? Like, no, duh. Like, it just, like, she is getting so angry at him and so whatever for withholding this truth for whatever. And I understand, but it's like, you don't expect him to be hurt, that like you don't want to be with him, like after he's proven to you over and over again that he does want to, you know what I mean? So
yes,
it just, I wrote that down because it makes me angry. Do y'all think the same way? Like, do you think that she like should be surprised that he's upset? Like, she's literally like, is that hurt in his voice that we're not together? He's upset that we're not together? Like, no, duh. He's upset that you're not together.
they have such a back and forth throughout this entire thing up until the very, the very moment, the big moment, right? They just go back and forth, like getting mad at each other for doing the exact same thing, and that's the part that makes me the most upset and frustrated when I read about them and how they argue with each other. I'm like, just, you are not warranted
At this point,
at
do you
this
think
point.
that
I think it's the beginning of a long cycle of this back and forth. Like, do you love me? I can't tell if you love me, but it's obvious that I love you. And then like the same, like Zayden's like, do you love me? Violet's like, I don't know if you love me. When they clearly, obviously love each other, but they're waiting for the words this whole time. And this is like this first little bit that we get where they're like talking to each other in their minds in front of all the friends, and the friends are staring at them, and they're like, what are they doing? Are they
Oh, that was so funny.
Are they fighting? Are they talking? So this little bit is like the very first, little taste we see of this, and it just continues to fester and continues to get worse. And yeah. So frustrated right there with you.
So yes, so at this point, it is frustrating. I was like, I'm not mad at Violet because I can see where it's coming from. Cassandra, like what you just said, it's like, do you love me? Do you not? Like, I love you. It's like both of them are kind of like in that back and forth and like push and pull. And so I think it's frustrating on both ends. I'm frustrated with the both of them, not just Violet.
I'm just frustrated with Violet. I'm like, girl, like, just stop. Like, I'm frustrated with him because I feel like if he would just say like, but I love you, like this would all be fixed.
Yeah.
And she even mentions in this chapter, she finally says like, he's never said I love you. And I'm like, finally, like she says it. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like if he would just say it, like he keeps asking her to say like, I just need you to say those 3 words. And then, but he won't say it either. So yeah, I don't know. But Violet was just making me mad. See, this is why I like dual POV. Like, because I need to be just as mad at Zayden's inner like turmoil and inner, whatever, but I can't because I don't have it. So all I have to go off of is what Violet's saying and what Violet's feeling. And it started to really like annoy me. I can't. I think I mentioned it at the end of last book of like one of my predictions of like, this is going to be a book of back and forth of like, I still love you, but I don't trust you. I still love you, but I don't trust you. And sure enough, that's exactly what we're getting. I'm glad like when we get like to y'all's chapter, like y'all sections, like we get some resolve of that. And hopefully we don't go through the whole second part of the book in the same boat. But I feel like I just can't stand that. I'm just like, all right, like, come on, like move along. So,
have an adult healthy conversation.
Yes, which probably wouldn't make a very interesting book. So I get it, but it still made me mad. So
yeah, but that's the frustration.
Yes. But then we also see the first mention of or sighting of Nolan. And Caroline is with him, and so that raised a lot of questions at that moment, like, well, what does Caroline do with Nolan and what's all that about? Which of course we find out more later on, but did y'all have any thoughts at that moment of what that could possibly be about?
I think it just piqued my interest and curiosity. I was like, that's weird.
I was like, wait, let me read that again. Okay, why? But why is he doing that?
Yeah.
Okay, because she noticed it. She made a point. Is this the part where she notices that they're going to Nolan, or Nolan has somebody with him that's healthy, or
they
something?
Like pass each other, and then Caroline like comes up behind him and is like, sorry, I'm late. And so they were going off to like, she didn't know what.
Yes, yeah.
But yeah.
And she makes a point to say, like, oh, she didn't look injured. Like, why is she meeting up with Nolan? That was her thought.
Yes. Well, I thought at that moment, I was like, well, obviously she's friends with Jack. Jack was a terrible person. And I thought like they were doing some like sort of interrogations or something, and Caroline was helping. I didn't know what Caroline's signet was or whatever. So I'm like, she's being used in this, whatever evil is going on, which of course we don't know yet if Jack coming back is evil or not, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
No, at that point I was like, Caroline, I didn't even remember that Caroline like knew Jack. I forgot about that. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But I mostly was like, yeah, why is that healthy person going with that healer, mender? There's a big difference, right? For the two. I can't remember the difference. One of them is Brennan and one of them is Nolan. Yes. But I just don't remember. And they made a point to like really describe the difference, because one of them can hurt. One of them can hurt other people, and I think that's Brennan's kind.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yes. And then finally Xaden meets Jasenia. And I'm like, oh, like my two favorites like together. And it made me like so excited that like it was kind of, I could see like she already has her squad, and she has like Xaden and his people, and and then she has Jasenia in the archive. So she kind of has all these allies in these different little pockets. But I could see like Xaden and Jasenia kind of coming together. I'm like, okay, this little like team is going to start to form, that all rally around her little army, right? And her army within her army. And that was like, it was really exciting to me whenever I saw Xaden and Jasenia interact and come together. I was like, okay, like now they're going to have a trust, and they can speak and utilize each other outside of Violet too, so it's like all these little teams are starting to come together. So that was really exciting for me to see as well.
And of course, Xaden knows how to sign too.
I know. I feel like that's something that like he and Liam used to do, like when they were back at the, what's it called?
When they were being fostered together?
There it is. I was gonna say the orphanage, but I was like, is that the right word?
Same, kind of.
They were orphans, so
yeah. But yeah, so I love that part, Becca, what you're talking about, like going to where Xaden and Jasenia like meet, and there's like this part that I highlighted, and then Violet's asking Xaden, it's like, so you can see if she's trustworthy by looking at her, even you aren't that powerful. I open the door and step out into the hallway. Let's go. And he says to her in mind talking, like, I'll know, I'm an incredible judge of character. I'm like, okay, man, sit down.
Yeah. His arrogance is unmatched for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, he was sizing her up, but it was so cute whenever it said that Xaden started signing to Jasenia. I'm like, that's it. Of course he does. Like,
of course he
how
does.
couldn't he? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I loved that part. I think one of my favorite parts of this whole section happened next, where Tarn puts Varish in his place. He brings him to his knees when he tries to, he says he's going to charge her with dereliction of duty for Andarna not showing, right? And so he's like, I'm going to take you away for your punishment, yada, yada. And Tarn comes and he gets Varish's dragon by the throat, punctures, and is like, you will get on your knees and apologize, or I'm killing this dragon, which in turn, of course, would kill him. And it just like, I was like, finally, because I know we mentioned that last time, right? We were like, why is like Tarn letting this happen? Like, somebody stop it. And he did. So I was really grateful for that. And I think that was just one of like my favorite parts, like in the whole section. I was so excited to read that. I was like, yes, tell him, kill him, do something.
That's exactly what I was going to mention. Like last episode, we talked about it. Like Taryn could have done so much more to protect Violet. And there you go. This is what he's capable of. And he's scary. He's super menacing and like in control and powerful, like way more powerful than this other dragon. And he showed it, and he protected Violet. And it was pretty intense though. I'm like, ooh, I would not want to be on Taryn's bad side.
No.
Yes. I'm just saying, like, finally, he comes out and he shows everybody just how powerful he is. Like, he could have done that. Like when we were talking about it, so what made him? Why now? Why not then? Why now? He just
I think he
kept
just
pushing
had
her
enough.
buttons.
Yeah. I think he just had enough. And I think when it comes to Andarna too, and like that line being crossed where Varys was like trying to dictate what a dragon would do. And I think like Taryn like warned him last time, like, we do not take orders from humans. Like, you don't dictate what a dragon does. And this time, like, he tried to do it again, and he was like, all right, like, warned you once, try to let Violet handle this herself. It didn't work. So like now I'm gonna have to take control of the situation. And I'm like, thank God.
Yeah.
Like,
And he made
finally.
him apologize too.
Yes,
right?
On his knees. On his knees. I was like, yes, like make him beg, make him plead, and snap that dragon's neck while you're at it. Like, let's
For
just
real.
get this over with.
Yeah, you could do it. That's how crazy it is, because he's like, look how easily I could just kill you. And you want to mess with her? Don't. But does he learn his lesson?
No. But we'll get there.
No. Yeah. The last thing I'll say is that like the whole time it was like, whoa, like I love Taryn, and like look at him go. He's so powerful and menacing. And simultaneously I was like cringing, because I was like, oh, this is embarrassing, Varys. This is like making him look so weak on his knees, like apologizing. I'm like, oh, like what's gonna happen? Like some revenge is coming. So I was like cringing at the same time. Yeah. So I was like simultaneously like in awe of Taryn and then cringing, because what's gonna happen?
Yes. Yeah. And it's kind of like you have that mental, like, I don't know, battle of like, I want to see him embarrassed, but you know his personality, you know he's gonna come back with vengeance. Like a smart person would be like, okay, I see what happens when I cross the line. I will not be crossing that line again. But he's obviously not that type. And so yeah, it worried me too in that moment. The next section is when Rhea and Violet kind of get into this argument, right? She's about to leave, she's about to fly off, and Rhea's like, what is going, like, let me in, like, what is going on? And Violet is just like, you weren't there, like, you have no idea what I've experienced, I cannot tell you what's going on. And she kind of just like word vomits on her of just like this built up just anxiety that she's had and this depression that she's had. But it all starts and stems because Rhea's pretty much talking about how like the brutality of the war college. She's like, it's just so unnecessary. Like all these deaths, all this whatever, it's just so unnecessary. And Violet's like, it's really not. Like it prepares you for what you are gonna see out there. And I have a thought on that, which I want to get to in like one of y'all's later sections. So I'm just gonna put a pin in that. But I think that that's a very interesting take from Violet's side whenever we find out a little bit more like later on. So just I'm going to keep that in mind. But and then of course Violet flies off. She ends up getting to see Mira. Mira's now stationed where Xaden is, which is super exciting because now we're going to get to see her maybe a little bit more. And Violet almost confides in her. She almost tells her what's been going on. She almost just is like, you know what, this is my sister. Like if there's anybody I'm going to tell, it's going to be her. Keeping the secret of Brennan, like how do you keep that from your sibling, knowing that one of them is alive? Like she just wants to tell her so bad. So like what was your inner thoughts whenever you're reading that? Like, yes, tell her, or were you thinking like, no, don't tell her?
So the answer is yes. So the short answer is yes. The long answer is yes also, but I have to explain why. I think it starts with that interaction that you were talking about, Becca, with her and Rhea, like finally having that heart to heart over everything that's happened and her coming clean a little bit with her. It was just such an emotional thing for her. I I don't know how you guys were, but just in that moment, I was just bawling, crying. I don't know. Because she relived, talked about Liam, and she's like, I don't want you to feel the hurt that I felt. I don't want you to have to do that, but you're my best friend. I love you. Right. And so like she's getting this like release that she's needed this whole time, starting with Ree. And then we get to Mira. And then I'm saying yes, I'm screaming in my head. I'm like, yes, she's gonna tell her finally. And 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 then it just kind of falls a little flat because Mira's like, oh, that's, she just doesn't take the hints the way that like Jacinia would, or that even Ree would if she were to give her a couple more hints as to like everything else that's going on. She'd clue in on it. But Mira, just because of the way that she is, like the way that she grew up, she doesn't have that lens, that mind frame to accept that, that there's anything wrong. So yes, long answer. Yes, I really wanted her to tell her.
Yeah, Cassandra, to your point, I feel like it's, this is all building for Violet, like the trauma and like the secrecy, the lies. It's all, and like not having anyone in her corner, really, like not having anyone that she can trust and go to for support. And it's getting to her. It's like eating at her. And that's why like the word vomit is happening. That's why like she's dropping these hints. And it's like this desperation to like somebody be with me in this crapshoot.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I wish Mira would have, I kind of had, my gut was saying like, no, don't tell Mira because of the way she is. Like I'm like, man, maybe she would actually like turn in Violet. I mean, I don't think she would.
Yeah, that was my thought too.
She's gonna tell her mom on her. She's like,
I'm
gonna tell mom.
She's
I could see that. I could see that.
Yes. And she's just so loyal, like to her post, to her job. I mean, even whenever Violet was asking her questions, like, do you ever think like we don't get the full story, like in Battle Brief or and whatever? And Mira's like, what are you talking about? Like, stop asking these questions. Like you're going to get yourself in trouble. Like she's very like, no, and don't ask, And so it's just like, as soon as Mira was giving her responses, I was like, don't say anything else. Don't say, like, I was in my head, I was like, and this is coming from somebody who like, I have one sister, like who I confide in everything with. And at the beginning of that conversation, I was like, okay, like that I could, I don't know, kind of see myself in Violet a little bit of like trying to put myself in her shoes. And like, if my sister was standing in front of me after everything that I've been through, how could I not just like grovel in front of her and tell her everything? And so I try to see it from that point of view. But as soon as she started giving responses, I was like, nope, like, yes, absolutely not. Like, you cannot do this.
Yeah, she wasn't receptive to it. She wouldn't have been as receptive to it.
No.
And that's just so heartbreaking. And then so when she's talking to Mira, she feels super guilty about not telling her about Brennan, right? So like she decides, no, we can't do it now, but oh my gosh, how can I live with this secret that Brennan is alive and not tell you? And I'm like, ma'am, where was this urgency when Xaden knew your brother was alive and didn't tell you? Don't you think that he should feel a certain way? Shouldn't you feel a certain way towards him? Again, there was no urgency for that whole thing. And it's like, I don't know if she can feel that way. I'm like, where was that? Where was it?
Yeah, so, absolutely.
Just reminded me of that. Yeah.
Agreed. Yes. So, of course, she gets to see Xaden there for a little bit, and they have kind of just a little bit more of like a PG-13 like sleepover, where she sleeps. She asks about, what do y'all think about these like knots that he has, like the like craft fabric thing that he left for her? Do y'all think there's any like significance in that? I don't know. I'm just like, it seems such like a random thing to have slipped in there that I'm like, is this going to come in handy? Like at some point she's going to have to like tie some knot or something, and it's going to be from this book. But anyway,
you're right. She brings it up. I think she brings the knots into play, or Xaden gives her the knots when they're talking about the whole like culture being gone and erased, basically. And so I think it comes out at a very good time. And even if it's like a little Easter egg clue or like something's gonna happen. Even if it is, I feel like it really flowed with the story very well. Because you know how that can stick out, like, and be like, oh man.
Yeah.
Oh, remember that knot that I learned?
Yeah.
It's just what I need to save our lives.
But I think it fits into like Xaden sharing about himself and like his culture and upbringing, and so when he's being, according to him, like an open book and doing it. But I think it seems too random to not be intentional. Like
I think there's some intention behind it, but I have it written down in my notes. Like I think it's just him just trying to show more of him, like how he grew up, things from his land and his traditions and his culture. And I just think it's so cute that like later on she's like in like one of her classes, like just sitting there, like working on it and stuff. I just think it's really cute. And so I just but then of course whenever she goes back to school, she ends up sparring with Dane because Dane is a little prick in that moment, and he's like, you know what, like I'm gonna get you to talk to me, and we're gonna like, I'm gonna challenge you, even though her shoulder is literally like dislocated. He does of course admit at that moment that he knew that, or he did not know that she and her squad were like, or that she and her group were being sent to die. Like he did not know that. He didn't go anywhere past her memories that he should have, and he's just genuinely like complex as to why she's so mad at him. Like, why can they not have a conversation about this? And I think it just like continues to prove, I think I've said this every single podcast, where I'm like, he's gonna have a redemption arc, and I know we're gonna get there, and he's gonna end up like, I just think they keep giving him enough redeeming qualities, right? And so I think that at this moment I was just like, yeah, like he's, Cassandra hates Dane so much. Like,
I do. Even at this point, I still was so, he was building up that redeeming qualities, but no. He was building up to the redemption arc. Because to me right now, he still bugged me so much, where he's like, I'm her oldest friend, da-da-da. And I'm like, well, if you're her oldest friend, then what are you doing trying to just leave her alone? She's asking, she doesn't want to talk to you. And I know you're confused and stuff, but just leave her alone.
Right.
We just need a little Dane space. Okay.
Yes.
I know you're confused, but it's a little selfish. And
exactly.
Of course, like things change. I mean, whatever. But at this point, I was still very much like, geez, Dane.
Yeah. And he
way to be a Dane.
Yes.
Way to be a Dane.
That's like the most Dane. Yes. The
it's
most appropriate phrase for Dane. Way to be a Dane. The one thing I want to point out is like he goes on a little power trip to like force Violet to talk to him, like by sparring, and he's talking to, I think, Bodhi, and he's like, last time I checked, you're a section leader. Dane narrows his eyes on Bodhi, and your cousin isn't her wing leader anymore. I am. I'm like, okay, Dane.
Literally, I like in my notes I have written like Dane demanding to spar Violet and to talk to Bodhi that way. I was like, so like Xaden coded, and that like he's like trying so hard to like be intimidating like Xaden was.
Oh
and
my
I'm like,
gosh.
You are Dane. You are not Xaden.
Yeah.
Like just your names in general. Like you are not like a powerhouse,
I didn't even think about that, about the parallel with like Xaden trying to fight Violet just to talk to her, and Xaden did the same thing, but I have such a different reaction, visceral reaction to Dane trying to do it.
Yes, exactly.
Poor guy. Like, he has to say it out loud so many times so everybody knows, yes, I am the wing leader this year.
Yes. Yes. And then we find out from Dane that Mom is the one who scarred Xaden. And so that was a revelation I don't think Violet was ready for, and I don't know how she could possibly like stomach that thought. And then we find out that Eric knows about what's been going on, and that's why he joined. And so I'm instantly like, okay, here we go. Here's an ally. Like, here's somebody who has the ends of the kingdom, but is going to be on their side. And it really like excited me. I was like, yes, like he knows. He doesn't have to like learn about it and be like shocked like everybody else or whatever. Like he already knows, like he's in it for the right reasons, and like here we go. So that was exciting. And then of course we get to the interrogation portion of it. Y'all, the brutality of some of these parts in this section was a little much for me. Like it was hard for me to read, which is how it's supposed to read. Like it's very well written. But that was hard to read. Like her just pretty much getting beat the hell up.
It was graphic. No, I'm thinking of a very specific time. It's just I don't remember exactly which interrogation or other it was. So I don't know if I should talk about it.
Well, the first one is the squad.
The first one is the training, right? That they're just learning how to be interrogated. And it's horrible.
I'm literally like, this is not like normal. Like I'm like, is this what happens like in army training? Like do they like, because Rebecca Yarros takes so much from probably personal experiences and personal stories. I'm like, how much goes on like in the army and the military, like where they do this type of like, what do you do whenever you get interrogated? Like, does this happen in real life, like to this extent? Because it just seemed so real. I was like,
right.
Dang, this is a lot.
There's honestly a lot that happens in this book that makes me wonder, does this happen in real life? Where did you get this inspiration from, Rebecca Yarros?
Yes.
It is very, very interesting to read, but very scary to think about.
Yes. Yes.
Very, yeah.
And very graphic. Yeah. I think she does a good job of, I mean, her writing is amazing because you're feeling everything that I think she's intended for us to feel. And that's like, it's really good writing. So it's like horror on the one side and then like impressed on the other side of like how well she can write these parts.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So, but then of course the interrogation, they get out, or I think that's coming up in the next part, but then Dane shows up before they do that. Right. And then that's the end of my section.
What does Dane do? Hold on.
I want to say one quote from Xaden that I think really helps Violet and really sticks with her in the first interrogation.
Wait.
Yes.
Well, are we talking about the class or are we talking about the interrogation? Because there's stuff that happens in the class that makes me like double take.
What class?
The class, like the interrogation. Because first it's like, isn't it crazy how they're being interrogated as a class and then instantly like within a couple of days she's actually being interrogated at her school for like real. Isn't that crazy? Because I was reading, taking notes, and I was like, wait, is this the class or is this like the real interrogation? I would get confused sometimes. You see what I mean?
Yeah. So this is just the class, like where they're like her squad is being tested or whatever.
Yeah, because at first, so the class is where they have the secret, right? So
where they have like the pretend secrets or like the
and Violet's like, I love Xaden. They're all like, no, duh, you idiot.
That was so funny that she thought that was a secret.
But those are the things that made me so mad. Okay?
It was so funny. I just think it was so funny. I think that, again, kudos to Rebecca Yarros because it's just like she's putting it out there for the reader. Like, hey, I know this is a frustrating part of the book. I know this is probably going to piss you off, but
because it's pissing off all of her friends too.
Violet is self-aware. She's a self-aware queen at that time. I'm in love.
She said it so confidently too. Like, I hate to break it to you, but that's not a secret.
Yes.
And I love. We haven't talked a lot about. I don't even know how to say his name. Riddick. I love him. Riddick. I love him. Like every time I read a dialogue from him, I'm like, he is so funny and just like perfect. Like he's
you know who he reminds me of?
Who?
Shout out to our friend Jaime.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Like the comedy relief, kind of mean about it, right?
Yeah.
No offense, Jaime, if you're listening, you better be listening. But yeah, he reminds me of Jaime. Like if I just every time I like picture him speaking, I kind of see Jaime in my head, like a little bit.
Yeah, so. Just like witty and like quips, like
yes.
and dry humor also and sarcastic. It's like
Sarcasm.
all the above. He's so funny. I love him.
Yeah.
Yes, he's the best.
Yeah, but the Zayden quote that he tells her right before they take her to the interrogation, the class, he says, "Violence, remember, it's only the body that's fragile. You are unbreakable." And so that was perfect that he told her that, and she holds that phrase very dear to her.
Yes,
Oh.
and she gets just about broken in every way. It's just crazy.
Yes, but I love how her squad becomes so like it's been building and building, and they've gotten closer and closer and closer. But you can definitely see it like during this interrogation of like how they're very protective of Violet, and they do everything possible to escape. Because they're like, I'm pretty sure if we stay here and Varish comes back, that he's gonna kill you. Yeah, and just like the loyalty and the friendship.
I want to ask y'all about what did y'all think of Dane in this moment where he comes in and he's called in to interrogate her, and it's kind of the first time where she has to like test her mind shields, and she's all scared, and she's like, oh no, he's gonna get all the secrets. He's gonna get the secrets.
I thought it was very on brand for Dane in what happens. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to find it. But basically, yeah, I mean, and reminder, like this was a reread for me. So I knew I knew what was happening, what was going to happen. But I think what stood out to me the second time was like, oh, it's still on brand for Dane, because Varish is telling him to like mind read her, and he's like, you're not supposed to, like, I can only do it to a cadet that isn't injured or something.
Yes.
And Varish even says like, you're such a rule follower. Like basically rolls his eyes at Dane.
He says, and I quote Angela, he says, well, that was disappointing and anticlimactic, rule follower. So I was like, wow, why are you taking the words right out of my mouth, Varish?
We
Me about Dane?
We agree, Varish.
Yes, I know. He's such a rule follower. It frustrates me too. But in this moment, he came in clutch.
Exactly. So on brand, but it worked out in Violet's favor this time. So
Yes.
I thought that was hilarious.
And that's it. You know, that's the big thing right there. Jack is back. And that's the big like
Jack is back.
Yes.
Back
Again. I was
So,
like, what?
yes. So I'm dying to know y'all's reactions because I knew this was going to happen. So every time we talked about Jack in the last episode, when y'all were both like, he's finally dead, like, thank God. And then he comes back. So I'm like dying to know y'all's like live reaction during it.
I was like, this author kills off characters so fast. Like you know that if a random character is mentioned and she's like, oh, I haven't seen her in blah, 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 then in 2 pages she's going to be dead. Like the author just like brings characters in, mentions them to kill them. Like same thing like that happened with Nadine. We see it later on in a little bit or whatever at the tower or whatever. And so it's like you kill off all these characters and then you bring back the one that doesn't need to be brought back. Like bring back Liam.
You could have brought back Liam of all the people to bring back. That
like,
was my
find
thought
some
too.
magical, powerful way to bring back Liam, and not just in some hazy, almost dead dream. Bring him back and leave Jack dead.
Seriously, Nolan. If Nolan's gonna work his butt off, like nearly dying to save Jack, like make it be for Liam, please.
Of all people, Jack. Why?
I know.
Did he work so hard to bring him back?
Well, I'm sure it was like he didn't have a choice, right?
You think Varish was behind it and forced Nolan to revive Jack?
Did you guys not think that Varish was like?
Oh yeah, no, I knew Varish was involved.
He was behind. Okay.
But I'm just like, but why? Like she has bigger enemies, I feel like, than Jack. Like I feel like Jack was a nuisance and that he always wanted to kill Violet, but he wasn't very successful. He had all year to do it and he failed every single time. Like why would he work so hard to bring back somebody who, in my opinion, didn't really seem like any sort of match for Violet or let alone Zayden? So it's like, why?
Again,
and I'm not
big
buying
question.
his like born again act where like he's all good and mighty now. Like,
yeah. It seems a little funky. It seems like, one, I don't believe it. It also seems like, I don't know. It just seems like they brought him back and he's almost like Frankenstein, like not a real person. It's just he's just a body.
Exactly how I felt too. I was like, this is like
a
the shell of a person.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
So that's why I think like maybe that.
Do you know something that we don't know?
Maybe. But I'm not sharing. No spoilers.
Yeah, something is wrong with this situation. I don't know what it is yet, but yeah, something's off for sure.
That's what I'm vibing to with Jack. So that was the big like reveal. Jack is now back for a bit. And then we have Xaden. Poor Xaden. She gets the news that there's a writer, a mysterious, we don't really know, it's ambiguous, which writer is hurt. And ultimately we find out it was Xaden that was hurt. They got attacked at the outpost. And so she has to rush over to his aid to see if he's okay. Taryn is freaking out. And then we have a huge moment when finally when she finally gets there. She is so scared. Do we think we would have done the same as Violet? If we hear our loved one is hurt, we're rushing over, we're going, without getting dressed. Bodhi will give us a flight jacket on the way. We gotta get there.
Whenever she gets there, and he's like, whose flight jacket are you wearing? And she's like, that's what you're like worried about right now. But I was like, oh my god, he's like, it's like things that he says like that, and I'm like, but you question if he loves you? Like, how? Like, if a man says that to me, I'm like, you love me, you want to marry me, like you want to be like.
No, but I think she actually says like you territorial person or something.
Yes.
But it could just be jealousy too, and like controlling territorial person.
That's love to me.
Yes. So immediately, so he comes in and he's there, right? She sees him, she sees that he's okay, and she's like gets pissed because he's okay. He doesn't look hurt at all. And so she's like, what did I do? Why did I do this? I'm so dumb. And he says, I am so reckless for you. That's the first little tease right there for our big moment. He says, I'm so reckless for you. And I was like, boy, can you just say it? Can you just stop?
Well, you can say I'm reckless for you, but you can't say I love you.
Exactly. Just say it. Like, we know we need it.
Yeah, he says, I would have done the same thing you did because I'm just as reckless for you as you are for me.
And see, okay, he still doesn't say it. They still don't say it, right?
I did swoon a little bit at that, though. That was a really sweet line.
That he was reckless.
Yeah.
I got mad. I was like, why? I was like, Violet, stop. You're more than this. Make him say it.
I was the opposite. I was like, girl, just give in. Like, but
I do like
this man loves you.
Yes.
Whether he's willing to say it or not.
So I do like that. Man, I forget what you said. You said just give in. Yeah. I like. She kind of does, but at the same time, she kind of holds her ground. She's like, you have to be able, I can't remember the exact part. She's like, you have to take this. Like, I'm not going to say I love you, but if you want me, like, you're going to have to take me this way. Right. Because I'm taking you this way and I'm showing you, but I'm not going to give you the words. Right. And so I'm like, okay, this is what we've needed this entire time. You need to stand your ground. Don't. And so.
Yeah, she even says it. Like in her inner monologue, like, of course he doesn't get it. His life might depend on mine, but he doesn't feel the way I do about him. He wants me. Even said he fell for me, but he's never said he loves me.
He's never said it, Violet.
Yeah. But she even says, like, I don't even think he's capable of saying it. Like, after everything he's been through, he just like he can't get there. And it's like, if he hasn't. Like, I think Imogen says it at the very beginning, like, of this section, like chapter 17 or whatever. She says, if you didn't think this man was hiding more than a few battle axes, then you're mad at the wrong person because you lied to yourself. And it's like, at this point, like, you know him so well at this point, and like everything that he's been through and whatever, even though you still don't know a lot, but you know enough that it's like, you think he's this vulnerable just with like anybody? Like, he's saying these things and being this vulnerable with you, like just meet him where he is and like understand that like he's showing you he loves you as much as he probably possibly can. So
yeah,
it was just frustrating.
Yeah, which makes sense coming from Imogen because she knows him, like maybe at a like knows the way he is and like how like his antics, so to speak. And so it makes sense like for her to like say, like, don't you get it? Like this is how he is. Like you need to accept him and meet him where he is. So
yeah,
it's easier for her to say it, I think.
I think it's further on. I think it's a little bit further on past the spice, but there's a part where she's like, oh, this isn't the Xaden I know. Like they don't get the Xaden that I get when it's just he and I. And that's just like, hey, ma'am, that's because he loves you. Just say it, Xaden. It hurts me because it's just like it's right there. Just like you guys could be happy. You guys could be so happy.
Yeah, they're both just so stubborn.
So yeah.
So what y'all think about the spice? What was the spice like for y'all? Y'all feeling it? Not feeling it? Good? Not good? Awkward? Not awkward?
No, it wasn't awkward. It was. I think it was what we were building up for. We did say last episode we wanted more spice, more Xaden, more spice. And I think we definitely got that. I think Rebecca Yarros served for sure.
Yeah, I think that Rebecca Yarros does a really good job of like, it's spicy enough to get you feeling the way that you're supposed to be feeling reading those scenes, but it's done tastefully enough that it's not like, because there are some books like you get to that part and you're just like, oh my God, like 5 pages of, and it's almost like you just kind of start skimming it. At least I do. I don't know. But like I feel like she just doesn't a good enough job where like it gets you enough and like you get into their heads and like what this moment is meaning to them deeper than just the physical part of it. And I think that that's what makes the spice so good in these books, even though there seems to be so little of it, but the parts that we do get are so good and it moves the story along. It's not just in there because, okay, we need some spice because this is a romance book. Like, no, there's spice there because it grows their relationship to the next, like, and I think that that's what's so important about it, especially in this moment, because they needed that like reconnection. And and it really is like from that point on, it was like, okay, like we're together, and like, so like it needed to happen and it was done in a tasteful way. So I liked it.
Yeah, I like the word you used. It was a reconnection for them. Like it reminded them, like, and they were able to really experience like their passion and their love for each other, even though neither of them are saying it. But I think reconnection is the perfect word. The only comment I'll say is like, ma'am, I like how you use the word ma'am, Cassandra, but it's like, he gives her options. It's like, in 5 minutes, I could, we could be on a comfortable bed if you want to make this, more enjoyable. And she's like, no, I'll choose the stone bench. I'm like, a stone bench, lady.
It's supposed to show like her,
it's
like
urgency. I need you now.
Her passion. But yes, like if I had to choose between the stone like bench in my shower and like my bed, I'm always gonna choose my bed. Like
5 minutes. Come on, girl. You can wait. Breathe through it a little bit.
It makes it fun. It's like, let's sneak. Let's be sneaky.
But they've waited this long.
That's
like
true.
A part of me was kind of like, if she chooses to go to the room, something's going to happen between here and the room, and somebody's going to say something, or somebody's going to try to kill them, or something's like, if they just don't do it right now, it just might not happen.
It's never going to happen. Yeah,
that is very true. And of course, it speaks to like their passion and just the bond that they have. The connection that they have. And so
what I love is the callback to her hair and the way she just like started unpinning her hair and then just like running her hands through it, and he was like, dang, all right.
I told you that's all you had to do, so
you gotta let me know. She gave me the sign.
She does it purposefully and with intention. She knows her Xaden man and what.
Yes,
for him.
Yes.
Yeah. What were you gonna say, Becca?
Do you guys think that they're mated?
Okay, so I had this thought, and I've had this thought since like forever ago, and I've been forgetting to say it. But yeah, they never talk about like humans mating or like being mates. And I wonder if they'll be like the the first ones, or maybe it happens like super duper rare. Because yeah, I think that's a valid question, because everything that they say about like their bond, it's like I was pulled to him, or I could sense him, or it's just feels a little bit extra more.
Yeah. And I know that like their dragons have a big part of that. Like they're kind of like their dragons have to be close to each other, so they do too. But like their lives are connected to each other in like a pure survival way. But yeah, I'm just like there's too much of a pull, a connection. She can like feel him in the room. Like it's just it speaks and sounds so much like a mate bond that you see in other series that I'm just like I feel like at some point, like something's gonna come out where they're gonna be mated and they're gonna like something's gonna click, like a mating bond or something, and they're gonna become like unstoppable, like a powerhouse, and they're gonna become even more targets because they're too powerful together now that they're mated.
So you think when they're mated, they'll gain like some power, some sort of power?
I mean, I would think that there would have to be some reason why they're not mated yet. Something must happen.
So, is that a possibility? Is that a possibility between
I
the
don't
humans?
know.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. That's what I was asking, if y'all think that
I think the way
for that.
I think the intensity of their relationship is very much leaning towards that for sure. And not just a way that it's just the dragons. It's not just the dragons. There's something, I don't know. I guess it's love, real love. No, it feels really intense. It feels like their actions are very much influenced by the love that they have for each other.
Yeah.
So,
but it's like I feel like because other dragons have been mated, so other riders have been in these type of situations, right? So it can't just be because their dragons are mated, because everybody would have said, well, these history has shown that since y'all's dragons are mated, but like everybody's kind of like, oh, are y'all in a relationship? Like they don't even know if they're together, you know? So it's like,
yeah,
I don't know. I feel like there's going to be something like, and some reason why Violet is such a target to the leadership and to whatever. It's like, there's something humming in that, I feel like. So
yes. We need to talk about, okay, we just had our big spice, right? And then right after, they go to meet the character Catronia, a cat, right? Man, why did they have to meet her right after they finally like reconnect, right?
because that's the best time for a writer to put that in there. Like, let me like lower your sails a little bit. Like, you know what I mean? Like they got to bring us down some notches. They can't just stay in love land for forever.
Right. We met Zayden's ex, and Zayden's ex cat she seemed instantly jealous of Violet. I mean, she could see it right there. I don't know. And maybe that goes to the whole mate thing. The fact that they're either that they're mated or they're like actually in love. And she can see, man, she knows that they got something going on. That's probably better than what they had.
For sure.
She knows, and that's why she's jealous.
Oh, for sure. She's super jealous, and she just like instantly hates Violet, just automatically hates her just because she sees the connection that Xaden and Violet have.
And Violet's like, is she looking at me? Wait, is that disdain? So like, why does this person hate me so much?
Yes. Like she did not.
I was wondering when she was gonna show up. This cat character.
She's pretty rude. She did not have to say that. Like, what did she say? She said, "What, you're gonna do this just because you're smitten? You're in love? Is this why you want to protect him? Because you're love? Okay." And he's like, "No." Well, yeah.
And I love how they describe her, like whenever they first introduce Kat, and how Violet sees her, and like how she's so beautiful and like perfect features. So it's like, okay, I don't know if Violet in the future, because I'm sure we'll see more of Kat maybe. But I wonder if Violet will feel threatened, or do y'all think she was threatened in that moment?
Yes, I think so. It's just like, Angela, I think you mentioned last episode, you're like, there needs to be like a love triangle. Like there needs to be some pull, like maybe temptation or something. And I think we're going to get it. It's just going to be to Xaden and not to Violet. Even though I know we'll get there more, but I think like the chemistry between Eric and Violet, or Cam, or whatever his real name is, but Eric, I could see where he would be the perfect like because he is the opposite of Xaden, but in the best ways. Like not like opposite like Dane, like opposite in that like we'll get there. I'll table it. But yes, I think that
so.
he would be the perfect choice for that. But I think we are gonna get that love triangle or like that jealousy or that whatever, but it's gonna be from 2 girls for Xaden instead of 2 guys for Violet.
Of course, just what Xaden needs for his ego.
Just what Xaden needs, yes, is another girl vying for his attention.
Oh my gosh. Could you imagine though, like with how jealous Xaden is? Xaden is so jealous when he saw his jacket.
Oh my god.
And it didn't make him feel better that it was Bodhi's jacket.
I know. He was like, I don't care. Take it off. Oh my god.
So it would have been perfect, like a love triangle for Violet. Like, oh my gosh, Xaden would have like lost his
mind. Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes.
So Xaden, we get our time with Xaden, our spice, and then we have to say goodbye. It's always sad saying goodbye to Xaden, but he leaves her with a dagger with an alloy, which we know that is super important to their whole cause, is the whole alloy. And something that they want to keep a secret. And all of a sudden they Varish with his searching, he's always searching Violet's things, thinking that she's gonna slip up at some point. And they search her, and pulls the dagger out to protect Violet. And I bring all this up because we finally get to the point where Violet feels like she needs to share with the squad. And I want to know your thoughts.
Oh my gosh. I was so excited. I was like, finally, like once again, like, she's bringing in like more people to this little like army that she's building, or like her inner circle. And I'm just like, oh, finally. And I just love all of their reactions and their support, and just everything that they gave is exactly what I thought that they would give whenever they found out. And yeah, it just made me so happy. I was so excited for her. And and again, I think that like spice and that like time that she had with Xaden, it like released some like, I don't know. She just felt more comfortable and confident, and like, I'm going to do this because I need to. And I know I'm not going to like push Xaden further away if I do this.
Yeah. Yes. I love like their reactions, especially, oh my gosh, you guys just told me how to say it. Riddick. Is that how you have to say it? Riddick. Yeah. How everybody's like, Ree's like, I'm not mad at you. I can never be mad at you, Violet. And Sawyer was like, yeah, I'm just, I don't forget what he says. And then Riddick is like, I'm a little pissed.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a little pissed you kept this from us.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
It's so funny.
Oh my gosh. Yes. And then he's like, wait, do I know something about the Scribe Quadrant that you don't know? And he gets so excited.
And he's like intentionally withholding it. Like, I know something that Violet doesn't know.
And Ree's like, can you please stop? Like, oh my god.
It was
so perfect.
Yeah, they just like immediately jump on board. They're like, all right, like we're just kind of, we're a little pissed that you haven't told us, kept us in the loop. Like, we can help you. What can we do to help? And so they're like, yeah, let's do the research. That's what we can do. Let's research, right? So they're all getting together, joining together. But yeah, I think that's the end of my part there. But I did want to say, is that in this part where they say it multiple times, you guys, but I started crying. I need to know when it was. It was when they came together and they said, we're going to graduate together. Like all 4 of us are going to graduate together. We're in this together. We're going to graduate together. Mm-hmm. And that's just like them as a squad is just clutch. Like that is your ride or die. And it just, I got so emotional reading about them and their bond, and the fact that they're like, no, we're going to protect each other no matter what. And we're going to make it to graduation. And y'all, I cried because I was like, I was going to die.
Oh my god.
That's what I said. That's what I thought. I'm like, I cried because I was like, look at them, so excited to be together. So like they're working together, like they've got each other's backs, and they're in it. Like this is it. we're hitting the ground running. And now I'm scared. I'm scared for their lives. Like, no, I'm too happy and I'm sad. So
They're too happy.
Yes.
You're right. I didn't even think that. I mean, obviously, I know everybody's like a threat to die, right? But like, it has to be one of the four of them.
The fact that they keep saying that, like, we're going to make it to graduation. I'm like, somebody's not going to make it to graduation. And I don't know who.
I don't even think there's going to be a graduation. I think the War College is like done.
You know what? Let's get there.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of The Book Carriers.
We hope you enjoyed diving into this week's read with us as much as we did.
Thank you so much for joining us on this literary adventure. Your support means the world to us.
If you loved today's episode, don't forget to follow us on social media for updates, behind-the-scene fun, and more bookish content.
And if you're feeling generous, please rate our podcast 5 stars. Your reviews help other book carriers find us and join our growing community.
Remember, we'll be back with a new episode every week, catching up on our latest read.
Until next time, keep reading and living those amazing stories.
Bye for now.
Happy reading.
I've been called to the pages, and it doesn't take long at all to